be hypercritical. You're not beating yourself down. You're not beating yourself up. You're not being condescending. You're just being real. Okay? And that's the difference between, I think, good artists and bad artists. It's not rocket science. It's artistic science. Hello and welcome back to Kimchi Studios, where we make fine art here on this channel. I'm talking 3D printable gadgets, sculptures, and other junk that you can't live without. I'm talking VR holsters. I mean, look how cute that is. That is a chameleon. No? I think you're a chameleon. So you're probably wondering how somebody like me, who is untrained in any sort of computer-assisted design or art, to go from this to this to this. Well, there's one secret, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Hold on, let me check my notes first. Ah, yes. Here it is. My secret to progressing extremely quickly and being a self-taught artist and 3D modeler is to be super self-critical. That's right. We're going to talk about something that is very simple, but very hard to do in practice. Now, there's two parts to my success. Personally, I think I've been pretty successful. Look, I used to teach kindergarten, okay? In a land far, far away when I had much shorter hair and a lot less of it. This is going to be a very quick video. Two recommendations I have. If you want to be super self-critical and to propel yourself very quickly in being an artist or a designer, or whatever it is you're doing, the first recommendation I have is to self-isolate. It doesn't mean to shut your door and be away from everybody. Actually, you kind of want to be the opposite, because you're going to be asked at some point, like I was, to perform live in front of people. Now, I was used to speaking and teaching in front of many, many students when I lived over in South Korea. I did it for over a decade. We were very successful, made a lot of money. It was great. But when I had to come here, back to the United States, right when COVID hit, and I decided to pursue this artistic side of myself, I was asked if I wanted to do pumpkins, and that's sculpting live in front of people, and I had no business doing it, but they needed somebody to do it, and I said yes. So I'm not talking about isolating yourself away from people. That's the opposite of what you want to do. You want to have enough confidence to be able to perform live and have fun doing it. It's hard work. It is. I didn't understand that until I tried it. It's hard work, but it can be enjoyable. So what I mean with self-isolation is you want to be able to not compare yourself to everybody else on the internet. You know what I'm talking about? Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everybody's posting their stuff on there. And it's really easy from the get-go when you're first struggling, and even now, like, I don't look at this stuff. To look at that stuff and be like, damn, they take better photos. Or, man, I wish, I could do that. Oh, I wish I could design that. The thing is, you don't know their story. They could have been doing this for a much, much longer time. They could have gone to school for this. They could have paid money or gone into debt to learn this stuff. You don't know their personal struggles. You don't know the way their brain works. So don't ever compare yourself to somebody else. In fact, instead, I would say, look at that. If you see that stuff, respect it. Be like, oh, you did that. You made that, and move on. You don't have to have an opinion, just move on. You got to have real business meetings with yourself. I'm talking like constantly throughout the day, where you sit down and you just kind of are by yourself alone, and you have to think, am I doing this the right way? What could I be doing better? Now, this is the thing that I also ran into when I was doing the drawing from reference that blew my mind, that I could actually finally do after more than 30 years of not really trying. Let me bring that back, okay? So in the last video, I was talking about how I was finally able to draw from reference. Okay, this is the original that I found on the internet. I'm sorry, I don't know the original author, and I couldn't find it again because Halloween had passed by then. I got this like in the beginning of October. So credit to the original artist, wherever they are, whoever you are. So the reason I was able to do this was because I was super hypercritical with myself. As I was drawing, I had a little inner monologue going. And the inner monologue was, did you do that right? Is that where that's supposed to be? Or is that where you want it to be? You have to come to terms with, is this real? This is not a real thing, right? This is just a drawing, but I know what it's supposed to look like, kind of, right? In my mind. And I can see this one, and I can see that they did a great job in putting all the proportions correctly. They know the anatomy of the face very well. When you're drawing or sculpting, you're doing it, and sometimes you're just doing it to do it. Your brain is really good at doing that. It takes shortcuts to save yourself time and energy, stuff like that, right? But if you want to get the job done well, if you want to produce quality, you can get faster through experience over time, of course, but you still need to always be hypercritical of yourself. That's why it's great to practice drawing in pencil. That's why I love VR sculpting, because you can undo stuff. With the pumpkin, I would kind of lightly do it, and you know, other carvers would be like, "Hey, what are you afraid to go in?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm very afraid, because I don't want to lose some of the meat of this pumpkin." You know, there's no turning back once you go in. And if you go in too far and it turns out to be a pumpkin that's not really deep enough for what you had planned, you're screwed. So I'm always talking to myself the whole time. This is why I don't recommend really listening to loud music or listening to a really informational podcast, because you can't turn that off. That's like the logical side of yourself. You have to really just kind of like be in the moment. It's like a Zen experience. That's the second aspect of it. So the first aspect is the isolationism, right? You don't pay attention to what other people are doing. You can't do that unless you're like, rolling. Okay. If you're like an expert master, you're high rolling, I would not pay attention to what other people are doing. You can look for inspiration and influences. Be careful with looking at technique, because then you just start copying them. You copy their technique, and you're not really exploring your own technique and your own little nuances, your little signatures in your own art and your own, sculptures. So that is the main message of today is pay no attention to what everybody else is doing. Focus on yourself, produce volume. And that's something that I haven't done. I haven't really produced volume. I've been really busy in my personal life, so it's hard to do. But the other part of it, and the major part of this message in this video is be hypercritical. You're not beating yourself down. You're not beating yourself up. You're not being condescending. You're just being real. Okay? And that's the difference between, I think, good artists and bad artists. And I've talked to another artist and a teacher, and they say the same thing. They say, yeah, I would have taught you that in my classes. And so that's how I know I'm on the right track. It's not rocket science. It's artistic science. And so I challenge you to go and sculpt something in VR. I really like doing that. I'd use ShapeLab. I also like to do CAD. I use Adobe Medium from time to time. There's a ton of stuff that you guys can use. There's Vermilion, the painting app for VR. They have it standalone on Quest now, I think. Go and do some art. Go do something. Go draw something. Go put some cardboard together, okay? And come back to this channel. And check out my 3D printables available on Cults 3D. You can subscribe to the Patreon if you like me, all right? There's some benefits to subscribing to my Patreon. All the members get access to the files that are posted on there, and you're able to try and print physical copies and sell those. You can do whatever you want with those ones. I'm also going to be releasing a holiday thing soon, maybe 2. Just like this last year, I had 2 Halloween sculptures. I thought they were pretty cool. Go check them out. So anyway, thanks for watching. I will continue to talk about how to explore your own creativity. It's in every single person, but a lot of people don't give it the time of day. And that's really what you need. You just need to give it time. You spend a lot of time doing other things that don't do anything for you. So take some time to yourself. See you in the next video.